imagine this scenario for a second. You're sitting in a doctor's office.
Right? In one of those awful, crinkly paper gowns.
Yeah, exactly. A crinkly gown. And a highly trained medical professional is looking over your charts, shaking their head, and telling you that basically your daily diet is a ticking time bomb.
Handing you the pamphlets, giving you the stern warnings.
Right? Telling you that you are flat out playing Russian roulette with your cardiovascular system. Now, that's why I want you to imagine outliving that doctor, which is quite an image.
And then, imagine outliving the next one. Imagine outliving 7 different doctors over the course of decades who all looked at your exact same daily routine and told you it was going to put you in an early grave.
It sounds like a hypothetical, but it's not.
No, it is the actual reality for the subject of our deep dive today. We're looking at a truly fascinating video and transcript from a YouTube channel called Real Talk with Time.
Yeah, the interview with Mabel Rose Thompson.
Exactly. She is 103 years old, incredibly sharp, and well, she has a life story that completely upends almost everything we are constantly told about health and longevity today.
It really is a remarkable piece of source material. I mean, it flies in the face of our entire modern optimization culture.
Oh, completely.
Think about the landscape we live in right now. You know, we spend so much time sifting through complex medical journals. We look at Peter Adia's longevity strategies. We're wearing sleep trackers, dissecting all the latest Huberman protocol.
Exactly. Always trying to add a new supplement or biohack to the routine. And then you have Mabel sitting in her kitchen who just completely rejects all of it.
But she doesn't just reject it out of like blind stubbornness.
No, she has a very specific, historically grounded, and highly controversial methodology, and she's followed it to the letter for decades.
Which forces us to take a massive step back and examine our own assumptions. And that brings us to the core mission of our deep dive. Of today,
the big question.
Right, we are asking a very specific question, which is essentially, and there's a great phrase for this that captures the curiosity perfectly, Len.
Meaning, why on earth does this old lady eat this exact food?
Exactly. Why does she eat this every single day? We aren't just going to list off the controversial things this 103-year-old puts on her plate. We're going to unpack the surprising and frankly brilliant psychology behind why she eats it.
What her choices reveal about modern diet culture, decision fatigue, all of it.
And ultimately what it means to live a life well lived. Okay, let's unpack this because her menu is going to challenge everything you think you know.
It certainly challenges conventional wisdom from the ground up. I mean, when we talk about longevity diets today, the image is usually the Mediterranean diet.
Leafy greens, tons of vegetables.
Right? Olive oil, lean fish, nuts, seeds, the whole eat the rainbow concept. Mabel's diet is the exact polar opposite of that.
Polar opposite.
She has eaten the exact same 4 foods every single day for 40 years straight. No variation, no seasonal eating, 0 cheat days.
I hear that and it's just really hard to reconcile. We're told constantly that a healthy gut microbiome requires massive variety. So how does she justify literally 0 variety?
Well, let's look at the actual menu.
Yeah, let's break it down so you can see exactly what we're dealing with. First up, we have 3 whole eggs, and she's very specific about the prep. They must be fried in real butter from a cow.
Not margarine, not seed oils.
No olive oil cooking spray either. She completely dismisses the whole 1990s egg white craze. She says throwing away the yolk is like buying a brand new car and immediately throwing away the engine.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
To Mabel, the yolk houses everything a baby chick needs to become a living creature. It's the life force of the food.
Which is a profound, almost ancestral way to look at nutrition. She's looking at the biological purpose of the food, rather than individual parts.
Right? No macro counting.
Exactly. Modern diet culture loves macronutrients. We obsess over fat versus protein. Gable just looks at the egg as a perfectly designed biological package.
She's thinking about nature's original design. So then we move to food number 2, which is 1 pound of 8020 ground beef.
80% lean meat, 20% fat.
Cooked in a heavy cast iron skillet with nothing but salt. No marinades, no complicated blazes. Why? Because she views the cow as a miracle machine.
Meaning it converts grass into human energy.
Yeah, sunshine, soil, and grass are things we can't digest. Magically converted into human strength. She points out this beef is packed with iron, B12, zinc, creatine, and carnitine.
And just to pause on that, she's entirely correct on the science there. Creatine is essential for muscle energy and brain function.
And carnitine.
Carnitine plays a critical role in cellular metabolism. It literally helps your body turn fat into usable energy. These are the exact compounds people pay $60 for in little plastic bottles at premium supplement stores.
And Mabel is just getting them straight from the source. We can't forget the carbs because she is definitely not doing a keto thing.
Far from it.
Food number 3 is 6 small red potatoes simply boiled with the skin on. She passionately defends the potato as the ultimate human survival food.
She has the historical receipts for that, too.
She does. She cites how it kept the Irish alive, how it sustained soldiers in World War II, and how it fed her own family during the darkest days of the Great Depression. Pure, unadulterated energy from the earth.
And finally, we have the most controversial item on her list. The one that really sends medical professionals into a tailspin. Raw milk.
A tall glass with every single meal.
Unpasteurized and unhomogenized.
Which for anyone who hasn't bought milk directly from a farm, unhomogenized just means the fat hasn't been blasted into any microscopic particles by machines. Real raw milk has that thick layer of cream right on top. You had to shake it in.
Precisely. And she compares standard pasteurized grocery store milk to expensive water. She actually calls it Frankenstein's monster.
Because it's been superheated to kill off all the bacteria mechanically separated and artificially pieced back together.
With synthetic vitamins added back in. She insists real milk should be thick and biologically active. What's fascinating here is Mabel's absolute, unapologetic defiance of the medical establishment.
It's not just a quirky diet.
No, it's a conscious rebellion.
She leans right into the rebellion. There's this highly specific anecdote in the video from 1985 involving a Dr. Patterson. It's the height of the 80s low-fat craze.
Right. The era of the food pyramid.
Exactly. Dr. Patterson sits Mabel down, tells her her cholesterol is supposedly too high, orders her to stop eating eggs, and hands her a color-coded chart of green safe foods and red dangerous foods.
Creating her like a child.
She literally says he was treating her like one of her own first-grade students.
And her reaction is just incredible.
She gleefully points out that Dr. Patterson died of a massive stroke at age 71, and is currently resting in Forest Lawn Cemetery. Plot 247.
She actually knows the plot number.
She knows the plot number. Meanwhile, 40 years later, she's still at her kitchen table, eating her butterfly.
It's a dark sense of humor, sure, but it perfectly highlights her central point. She has consistently rejected medical advice that didn't align with her own physical experience.
Like when they pushed low carb on her in the 90s.
Exactly. She tried an Atkins-style diet, felt like she'd been hit by a truck for 3 weeks, and promptly went back to her potatoes.
And her defense of raw milk is the same way, deeply intuitive.
When doctors warned her about dangerous pathogens, she argued that the human body is more bacteria than human anyway. We desperately need those raw enzymes that industrial pasteurization destroys.
She joked. She's been drinking it since she was a kid on a farm and is still waiting for the danger to show up. It's just wild.
Very confident in her choices.
And just to give you, the listener, the exact schedule so you can picture the rigidity, breakfast is 3 eggs, 2 potatoes, raw milk. Lunch is a ½ pound of beef, 2 potatoes, milk. Dinner is 3 eggs, the other ½ pound of beef, 2 potatoes, milk.
Day in, day out.
Monday through Sunday, winter, spring, summer, fall. Which brings us right back to our central mission for this deep dive. Why does she do this?
The extreme repetition.
Right? Here's where it gets really interesting, because you have to be asking yourself, why willingly subject yourself to this? Don't we need variety just to enjoy life?
And Mabel's answer directly confronts what she calls the myth of variety. Think about the messaging we receive today. We are bombarded with the idea that optimal health requires 47 exotic ingredients in a single smoothie.
Sourcing the sai and matcha powder from the rainforest.
Taking athletic greens. Managing endless arrays of daily supplements. Mabel calls this out as pure marketing invention designed simply to sell you products. Her thesis is elegant. The human body requires specific nutrients to function, not entertainment on a plate.
And she gives this amazing historical context from her own long life. She talks about living through the dietary shift of the 1950s.
And everything changed.
From her view, scientists and policymakers suddenly decided without solid long-term proof that animal fat was the enemy. They told an entire generation to stop eating butter, eggs, and beef.
And what replaced it? Sugar, highly processed carbohydrates, and industrial vegetable oils.
What she flat out calls chemical garbage.
And her observation of the fallout from that mid-century shift is striking. She notes that as people adopted these highly processed, low-fat diets, chronic illnesses completely exploded. Type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease.
But instead of the food industry admitting a mistake, they just doubled down.
They created a circus of fat diets. Suddenly, we had keto, paleo, vegan, carnivore. Everyone had a book to sell or an app to subscribe to, while the population just kept getting sicker and more confused.
And she isn't just relying on intuition. She shares fantastic anecdotes about other people she knew who lived exceptionally long lives. There was her friend George.
The oatmeal guy.
Yes, George lived to be 101. His big secret, a bowl of plain oatmeal and a ton of sardines every single day for 60 years. Oatmeal for breakfast, sardines for lunch, light dinner. Everyone thought he had lost his mind.
But he outlived the entire neighborhood. She also talks about her husband, Robert, who lived to be 95. 2 eggs and a piece of toast for breakfast every morning for 50 years.
Never asked for pancakes.
Never wanted a smoothie? Yeah.
When people would ask Mabel if she was bored eating the same things, her response was brilliant. She'd say, "Bored? I'm alive. That's exciting enough."
She has a point.
She points out the bitter irony that modern society thinks her life is boring, yet considers it completely normal to be 60 years old and need a weekly pill organizer with a dozen medications just to get through a Tuesday.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the real why behind Mabel's diet isn't actually about the specific macronutrients. It's about freedom.
Freedom from choice.
Yes, it's a brilliant psychological strategy to completely eliminate decision fatigue. By stripping her food down to 4 essential items, she has radically simplified her daily cognitive load.
Think about how much time you spend in thinking about food. She talks about people weighing chicken breast on digital scales like they're running an illicit drug operation, tracking macros, drowning in choices on delivery apps.
Mabel doesn't waste a single ounce of mental energy deciding what's for dinner.
She doesn't spend Sunday afternoons stressing over complex meal prep or navigating 50,000 items in a grocery store. She knows what she's eating, eats it, and moves on with her day. It gives her the mental space for what actually matters.
Which serves as a vital conceptual bridge into the second half of her philosophy, because as staunchly as she defends her beef and potatoes, there is a massive catch.
A huge caveat.
She explicitly states that you could strip your diet down to these exact 4 foods, follow her rules to the letter, and still end up terribly sick if your spirit is rotten.
This part of the interview really stopped me in my tracks. She introduces us to a neighbor from the 1980s named Walter.
Walter was the poster child for health optimization.
He read all the cutting-edge health books, ate impeccably clean, jogged religiously every morning. He did everything right, and Walter died of aggressive cancer at age 68.
Mabel's interpretation of Walter's death is chilling, but medically profound. She doesn't blame his genetics or the environment. She says Walter was ultimately killed by his own bitterness.
He had this nasty inheritance dispute with his brother.
And he stayed actively angry about it for 40 years. Mabel describes him carrying that hate around like a backpack full of rocks. In her view, the cancer was just the physical manifestation. The real cause of death was decades of unresolved, toxic anger.
Think about a grudge you might be holding right now. Mabel is arguing that carrying that anger does more physical damage to your cellular biology than eating junk food.
You cannot out-eat or out-exercise a toxic emotional state. Your cortisol levels spike. Your nervous system is in fight or flight. Your immune system crashes.
And she offers a very difficult antidote to this poison, forgiveness. But she frames it in a remarkably pragmatic way. She isn't preaching moral superiority.
No, she tells the story of forgiving her own mother.
A very cold, emotionally unavailable woman. Mabel carried deep, burning anger toward her for decades.
The crucial distinction Mabel makes is that she didn't forgive her mother because her mother had suddenly earned it or deserved it. She forgave her because Mabel deserved peace.
It didn't change a single objective fact about the past.
Right? Or excuse what her mother did. But it completely changed the physical weight she was carrying in the present. It freed her nervous system.
I got lighter, I got free. Such a powerful way to put it. And that emotional lightness allows her to find her true purpose, which is the other massive pillar of her longevity.
Having a tangible reason to wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
For Mabel, that doesn't mean running a company. It means tending a garden, helping a neighbor fix a fence, having a long phone call with her great-granddaughter. Real analog connection.
It's also the emotional resilience to find joy alongside inevitable sorrow. The video shares a touching moment regarding her husband, Robert, married for 68 years.
The day after they buried him, Mabel was weeping alone in her kitchen. Her teenage granddaughter walked in, totally unsure of what to do in the face of that suffocating grief.
And Mabel looks at her through her tears and cracks a joke.
She says, "He always told me I'd be lost without him. Turns out he was right." And they both started laughing. Then they cried. Then they laughed again.
Mabel says, "That is the ultimate secret to surviving a long life. Life is guaranteed to hurt you. You will lose people you love. But if you can find a way to laugh in the darkest moments, you can survive the unbearable."
It's beautiful. And it brings us to a deep sense of urgency that permeates her entire message. She isn't just calmly reflecting from a rocking chair. She is urgently warning the listener to stop waiting for the future.
So, what does this all mean?
Means avoiding the tragedy of someday. She tells us about a co-worker from the 1960s named Betty. Betty's entire life plan rested on retirement.
She constantly talked about moving to the coast in 10 years.
Buying a little house, opening a bakery, making pies every single day. She'd always say, "Then I'm living." But Betty died at 62, 2 years before her pension kicked in.
Never made it to the coast. Never baked a single pie.
Spent 40 years putting up with the life she didn't love, waiting to live someday.
And it's important to recognize Mabel isn't preaching from pedestal here. She openly shares her own painful regrets.
Yeah, she talks about being in her 30s, working as a teacher, constantly bringing lesson plans home, staying up late grading papers, missing family dinners, missing her daughter's dance recital.
For a slightly bigger paycheck and a pat on the back from a principal who probably forgot her name a decade later.
She traded irreplaceable moments for things that hold absolutely zero value at the end of a life.
She also shares that heartbreaking story about her sister, Margaret.
When they were their 40s. They got into a petty fight over nothing, refused to speak to each other for 3 whole years, both waiting for the other to apologize.
Then Margaret died of a brain aneurysm at 53.
Mabel never got to make it right, never got to say she was sorry or that she loved her. It's a brutal reminder that time is not guaranteed to any of us.
This raises an important question about how we are currently spending our limited time and energy. We live in an era obsessed with the illusion of optimization.
We have apps customizing diets based on DNA swaps.
We stand in grocery aisles paralyzed by the choice between 600 types of cereal and 40 types of milk. We use meal delivery services to supposedly save time, only to spend that time scrolling mindlessly on our phones, comparing our lives to strangers.
Exactly. Mabel's thesis is that food, love, and purpose are fundamentally simple concepts. Everything else, the 47 smoothie ingredients, the complex diet books, the endless striving for status, is just noise.
It's a distraction from living.
Your body needs is real nutrient-dense food. Your heart needs real face-to-face connection. And your soul needs a reason to get out of bed. That is the whole game.
She mentions that by finding her 4 foods and simple routine at 63, she found clarity, but she wishes she had done it at 23. She looks back at the energy wasted, being confused by diet trends and societal expectations.
The radical simplicity gave her the clarity and stamina to focus entirely on the people right in front of her. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, let's connect this back directly to you.
Mabel Rose Thompson didn't just decide to eat eggs, beef, potatoes, and milk to hit 103.
No, she ate them to buy back her time. Her secret isn't a hidden dietary hack or a magic supplement stack. It's about real food, real connection, real purpose, and fiercely living in the now rather than waiting for a someday that might never come.
And that leaves us with a provocative thought to carry forward. We spend so much of our modern lives trying to optimize our daily routines by adding more to them. More data tracking, more dietary rules, more complex morning ritual.
Always adding.
But if you were to look critically at your own daily life right now, what is your version of the 4 foods? What incredibly complex, exhausting part of your routine? Whether it's your diet, your wardrobe, your social calendar, or a grudge you are carrying, could you radically simplify or eliminate today?
Imagine the energy you'd get back.
Exactly. Imagine the mental bandwidth and the time you would suddenly have available to actually show up for the people and the purpose that matter most to you.
It is definitely something to think about the next time you're stressing over a complex dinner menu or holding on to a resentment you know you need to let go of. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.